Today we are going to be talking about word problems that deal with subtraction. Subtraction is the difference between two numbers. So we're going to take one number, take away a certain amount, and find our answer from there. So the word problem I have for you today is a watermelon truck carrying 103 watermelons. I'll use a different color. 103, so that's the number we're starting out with. That's how many total watermelons we have so far. That watermelon truck hits a bump on its way to the store, and 57 watermelons fall out. So we started out with 103 watermelons, but then we hit the bump and 57 watermelons fell out of our truck. So what we're trying to figure out is how many watermelons do we have left? So when you see questions like this that are asking how many are left, how many do you have after, those are going to be subtraction problems. So this is our word problem. A watermelon truck carrying 103 watermelons hits a bump and 57 watermelons fall out. So how many do we have left? So we're going to be using two different models, mathematical models, to try and solve this question. And the first one we're going to be using is our base 10 blocks. So our base 10 blocks we've used before, but we're going to use it for subtraction. So remember, we start with our flats, or our units, which are 100 in total. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more across, and then this whole thing equals 100. Then we have our rods, and each of these equals 10. So if we take our rod and we put it on our flat, you can see that equals one side, so that equals 10. So if I had 10 of these rods and just went all the way across, I would have 100 units in total. And then lastly, we have our 1 units, which are just one block from a rod or from a flat. So you can see that 1 unit fits in 1 square. So if I had 100 of these small squares, I could fit this entire flat. So our first number was 103. So I'm going to write our question out vertically so we can see it at the top of our whiteboard. We started with 103 watermelons, and we're taking away, so we're subtracting the 57 that fell out. So when reading your word problems, you need to remember to find the important information, and that was, we started with 103, we're taking away 57, and we're trying to figure out how many are left. So with our base 10 blocks, we're going to try and count to 103. So I have 100 right here, because one flat equals 100. So if I already have 100, then I need 3 more. So I'm not going to take one of these rods because that's 10, and I don't need 10, I only need 3. So I'm not going to use one of these, but I am going to find 3 units. So I'll just put them right there. This might help. 103, we have our flat and our 3 units, and I'm subtracting, so we put our minus sign, 57. So instead of getting 57 more units, I'm going to break my flat up into rods so I can manipulate it, because if I want to take out of my flat, I have to break it apart. So I have my flat that's all together. It's 100 pieces or 10 rods. I'm going to take that apart, And I'm going to go to my rods and I'm going to count out 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, move these, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So all of these rods right here are the same as one of these units. So we'll push them together for now. And then I had my 3 ones. So what we see right here, the 10 rods and the 3 ones, is the same as having this in our 3 ones. So in order to take 57 away, we're going to take 5 rods, right, out of what we already had. We're taking 5 out because 5 is our number in the tens place. So we're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what we took away. And now I want to take 7 away. But I only have 3 ones. So if I wanted to take 7 ones away, I could break up one of my 10s, right? And that would give me more ones to take away. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll take 1 rod. And remember, 1 rod equals 10 units. So now we're going to pick 10 units out from our broken up rod. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So our 10 ones right here equal the rod that we took away. So this is the same thing. 10 ones equals 1 rod, right? So now that I have these 10 ones and these 3 ones, I'm just going to group them all together, right? So now that we took away our 50, we're going to take away our 7. So we'll count away 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now this is what I'm left with. We have 4 rods and 6 ones. So now that we took this away, these don't matter, right? These are the watermelons that fell out of our truck, and we're not going to get those back. So we're only going to count what we have left, because that's what the question was asking, right? How many watermelons were left? So now we will count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rods, which is 40. So I'm going to write that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones, which is 6. And that left us with 46. So our answer is we have 46 watermelons left. And that's how you'd solve a subtraction problem using base 10 blocks. Now I'm just going to show you how to do a subtraction problem vertically on the whiteboard. And it's going to be the same problem. We're going to be dealing with the same numbers, 103 and 57, but we're going to write it horizontally as opposed to how we have it here. Or, I'm sorry, we're writing it vertically as opposed to how we have it horizontally. So we have 103 minus 57. Same numbers. So we start with our numbers on this side. So we'll start with 3 minus 7. And we can't do that because then it would be a negative number, right? So this is where regrouping comes in. So earlier, when we broke apart one of our rods and we broke apart our 100ths flat, we were regrouping it into units or rods. So breaking it apart was regrouping. So we're kind of going to have to do the same thing here, but without our blocks. So I can't take 7 out of 3, so I'm going to borrow from my friend next door, and he's a 0. I can't take any more out of 0 because there's nothing there to begin with. So I'm going to go to his neighbor and take from him. So if he only has 1 and I need 1, he'll now become a 0. Our friend right here will become a 10 because we added our 1 to him, but I still need him. I still need a 1 from him, so I'm going to cross him out again and put a 9. And now I have 13 because I added my 1. So now we have 13 minus 7. So now we'll have 13 minus 7, which is 6. And we're keeping our 0, who became a 10 and then became a 9, is still a 9. He's not going to go back to being a 0. He's still a 9. So we're dealing with 9 minus 5 equals 4. And our friend over here, that was a 1, and he became a 0. He's still a 0. He doesn't get any more points back or anything, so we keep him as it is. So now vertically we have 103 minus 57 equals 46. So we both got the same answer both ways. Those are just two different ways to do subtraction problem using the base 10 blocks and whiteboard and markers and subtracting vertically.